This is Dr. Ruben Chen, and welcome to the Vital Signs Podcast. Hi, this is Dr. Ruben Chen. Welcome to another Vital Signs Podcast. We are very excited. We have a great guest today, but before we get started, I want to do a shout out, of course, to Sunrider International that is bringing this podcast to you. Sunrider is the world's leader in herbal health foods. We have all kinds of products there, from herbal toothpaste to even detergent, and of course, herbal supplements. And probably one of our most popular is a vegan protein powder with special herbs that are inside to help absorb in your body, a great source of prebiotic. So if you're interested in learning more about our Sunrider products and Sunrider foods, you can check us out at sunrider.com, or you can talk with your local independent business owner for more details. All right, so I have a guest here. Her name is Lauren Haas, and she has a very interesting set of skills when it comes to nutrition. And I feel like for us here at Sunrider, I think it lends a lot because we really believe in holistic and natural foods. So, Lauren, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Haas. I live in Los Angeles, and I am a holistic nutritionist as well as a private chef. And what I've done is, well, what I started off doing first was I was a private chef, and I've always been deeply interested in nutrition and found that nutrition was how I healed my body. But I hadn't necessarily studied it in like a formal setting. So I was private chefing while I was in college, and I was actually a nanny, and they asked me to make them dinner, and then that turned into a private chefing gig. But I also took care of the girls, but then I was cooking dinner parties and big parties,
Wow.
and then picking up the kids at 3. So that's how it started. I studied psychology.
Do you have a specialty of style of food, or did you make all kinds of food at that time?
I'm 36. So this was I was a sophomore, I think I was a freshman or a sophomore in college, maybe. Right. So they're like, can you make the kids dinner? And I was like, sure. And she's like, can you cook? I'm like, yeah. And so my mom's actually a professional chef. So I grew up cooking.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in your blood. Okay.
It's in
That's
my
awesome.
blood. And I didn't have formal training until after I graduated. And I actually studied psychology and occupational therapy at USC, but that really comes in handy for my day-to-day work.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I did that. I was doing the private chefing thing. I had, I was 21. How old are you when you graduate college? 21, right?
21,
22,
22. Yeah.
Young, and a couple of clients. And then I was working at a big catering company, learning cause I thought I was maybe I want to do event coordinating. And I wound up in the catering kitchen instead of working in the front office. Cause that's it's you can run away from your craft as much as you can. And I found for me, I'm I don't want to be a chef. I don't want to do it. And every time I run away, I would end up back in a kitchen. Yeah. And I'm you know what? I'm just going to surrender to the universe and this skill I have. And, I think when you're young and you can when you're young and you have a skill that's and mine's a very specific, it's nutrition and cooking. I think it's very
That's a
special.
unique skill. You'd be surprised. Most people think nutritionists can cook, and they really can't.
So they cannot.
They can't. They just sort of know about the chemistry about the whole thing, but they don't know how to make food. Yeah.
I actually cooked for two holistic nutritionists because they didn't really cook. And then that's how I got into the nutrition field, because I was I want to do what you do. Right. And then I was I don't want to cook anymore. I just want to do the nutrition stuff. and then did my schooling. And then of course, like I would do these consults with people and it helped people. And then they'd be like,
Mm.
and I would do cooking classes and they're like, can you just like do weekly meal prep? And I'm like, and of course, right. And so it grew. So currently, so I started in my mid-20s
Mm.
with this profession. I had a couple other little jobs here and there, but again, always pulled back, pulled back, pulled back.
Mhm.
So currently what I do is I have my group of clients that I do their nutrition coaching and just coaching. And then I have clients who I do nutrition coaching and private chefing. And then I've got my clients who I've had for so long that I don't even need to do nutrition coaching with them because like I know what they need and they get their food and it keeps them healthy. So
Mhm.
that's really what I focus on. And, of course it's like, hey, Lauren, can you just like do a party for 50 people? And I'm like, yeah, sure, guys, like
Why not?
whatever.
Just throw
Why
that on top of
not?
that.
Right? Like, can you just make really healthy food for like 50 people? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm
Wow.
doing that. I've been doing that for years. That's like my secret thing. I don't, now I'm telling a lot of people. So
Now
I
you're
do event
telling everybody that
planning.
you do
I'm telling
catering too. So
everybody. So that's what I do. But it all I mean, if I really go back to how this whole thing started, it really started because I was pretty sick as a kid.
Mm.
Um, and nobody knew what was wrong with me. And this was before food allergies were like a thing.
Mhm.
And they're like, you have IBS, you have colitis. No, you don't. You have Crohn's. No, you don't. Right. And it really
Right.
turned out that I have like food allergies.
Oh,
And
that's simple.
yeah, and I actually figured them out on my own. And then
Mhm.
my mother did not believe me. And this is like an ongoing joke. So I'm allergic. I won't like choke and die, but like I'm severely allergic to dairy where I can't even eat I can't even have clarified butter in my food.
Hmm.
So, and this is since I was little, because according to my
Mhm.
grandmother, I was always sick and they were giving me milk, right? Because that's what you give babies. So the ongoing joke is that my mom would be like, put butter in food because nobody believed me because nobody had a dairy allergy in my family. And I would be like sick, and everyone's like, what are you sick from? I'm like, I don't know. Right. And then I'm like, was there butter? No, there's no butter in there. And I'm like, are you sure? And then eventually I had blood work done and the allergy test on your back and a whole bunch of stuff. And as I told everybody,
You
no
had all
dairy
these
and
food allergies. Okay.
no
That's
food allergies. So that's
yeah,
how it's.
it's good to listen to the kids. Sometimes they have some insight into their own body that we may not be seeing.
Oh, totally. So that's how it
Yeah.
started. So I started cooking dairy free and then eventually gluten free because I realized I also had an issue with gluten, not
Mhm.
celiac, but an intolerance. And so I started doing that in high school. And my interest around cooking really started when I was young. And in high school, I was like making, like, I don't know, sometimes I'd try to make something and it was awful, but I tried, right? Like, because we didn't have products that people with food allergies they just
Mhm.
weren't there. Um, so that's
It's
how it
pretty
started.
awesome though. That I mean, I don't know a lot of young people that know how to cook.
Right.
And just the fact that you're developing that skill at a young age is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when you live in a home with a professional chef,
Yeah.
like it's kind of impossible
Possible
not
to
to,
avoid it.
yeah, it's like, and you have to eat to survive, right?
Hmm.
So, and it became a thing. Like I was telling a client of mine, I mean, we would go to food and wine events as children, not drinking wine, but like we would go to food events, like food and wine events and all these things. And it was like a really beautiful part of my childhood. And like when we would travel, like really exploring the food of the country
Oh,
was
wow.
something that we did. And my brother and I ate everything growing up. Like, and it's cool to say like, look, like I've tried a lot. There's things I won't eat. Like I'm like,
Hmm.
that's a little much there, but I've tried a lot
Hmm.
of things growing up. So the food, between having food allergies and being super in tune with like my body and knowing like what makes me feel good and does it make me feel good. Um,
Hmm.
you know, taking all of these things, it's really how I figured out what my purpose in life is. And it's to really help people that struggle with their nutrition because they have some strange issue that doctors can't necessarily like support them nutritionally because doctors don't really cook.
We don't get that training. That is true.
Yeah. So I have doctors that are like, here, take this person. Like, this is what they need, figure it out. Like, we are taking care of, like, medically, we're dealing with them. Or like, I have I always get a couple of clients a year. It's generally like 3 clients a year who are going through some type of cancer treatment.
Mhm.
And
Oh, and they
so,
need something very specific or
yeah.
unique for their, yeah.
And also, like, I was talking to, I have a referral right now, and I was talking to my friend referred her friend to me, but I was talking to her and she's like, how does it work? And I'm like, well, first and foremost, like, I need to get, if someone's going through like chemo and radiation or just chemo, just radiation, like, I have to ask them, like, what can they keep down?
Hmm.
What can they
Wow.
eat?
That is interesting. That actually, as a doctor, I wouldn't have even thought of asking that question. Huh.
Right. So it's just a
Mhm.
different way of looking at it.
Mhm.
And then taking that information, like right now, my client, he's going through, I think, chemo and radiation.
Mhm.
He's like, don't send me soups. And I'm like, don't send you soup. And I'm like, everybody eats soup, right? But he's like, no. He's my, and all my other clients that have gone through chemo, have going through cancer treatment, soup, bone broth, stews. It's easy, it's warm. He's like, oh, please don't send me any soup. And I'm like, that's a first.
Huh.
Right. But that's like the dialogue. I think that's really important, is like, what can you eat? And then from like what they can eat, then figuring out like what's the healthiest way to, like, what's the healthiest way I can make a lasagna? What's the healthiest way I can make a hamburger and French fries, right? And so it's like, I'm not going to send them fried food, but I can send them baked sweet potato fries, right? With
Mhm.
like a no sugar added ketchup. So it's low sugar. I can add,
Mhm.
if depending on the client, like it's interesting because I've had nutritionists from like the hospital. I've had different views, like where some are like, we want them eating red meat once a week. We don't want them
Hmm.
eating red meat. We want them more vegetarian. So I really work with their like
There's
oncology,
specific requirements.
nutrition, like that. It's cool.
Wow.
I love it. I love really being able to feed people who are not well and and being able to feed them, not just like figure out a menu, but where they feel nourished and healthy and like really grounded. I think it's a really special thing that I get to do that for people.
I'm just thinking, I don't know anybody that around where I live here in Texas that does something even similar to that. So that's a very unique set of skills. So let me ask, so what is your approach to health in general? I mean, do you subscribe to like a Mediterranean diet or I don't know, like and Japanese people have a specific way of eating, or what is your approach when somebody's coming to you and say, "Hey, I want to be healthier. How do I do this?"
The same question. What do you like to eat?
Hmm.
Because it's very hard to force people to eat things they don't like to eat. I always say, like, we're kind of all like 3-year-olds running around in adult bodies, right? Like, think about it, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
3-year-olds, like, they're kind of like, you meet a 3-year-old and you kind of know what they're going to be like when they're 15, 16, 17. Like, I'm not that different than when I was 3,
Hmm.
right? Like, I'm really not, this is who I am. I mean, obviously I've grown and matured and, I've changed, but like my personality is my personality, right? So
Hmm.
it's hard to get people to eat things they don't like. I hate green beans. Please don't give me green beans. I think they're gross. Green bell peppers, won't eat them. Those are
Hmm.
the 2 things I don't like. But if somebody said, you have to, I'm like, no, I don't. There's lots of other green vegetables I could eat, right?
Right,
So,
right.
right. So the first question is, what do you like to eat? Okay,
Hmm.
great. And this is after going through like an entire health history. So depending on what issues they have, they'll come in with whether it's like diabetes or some type of a kidney disease, or they've got some liver thing, or they've got colitis, or there's so many things. And like, I really believe in figuring out people's food based on their individual needs and their individual preferences. So I do not prescribe to one type of diet, because I think that there's so many wonderful aspects of all different cultures and their food.
Hmm. That's
So
true.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about that because a lot of people will say things like, well, you can't eat any saturated fats or something like that. But then you look at a French diet, it has a lot of fats in it, but nobody there, people there don't have the same kind of heart disease as we have here in the United States. And it's just how they prepare it and obviously how much they eat
Portion
uh,
control.
makes a big impact about how their body adapts to it. So. Uh, so what then do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to healthy eating?
Oh my God. It's like there's so many things like
Okay.
misconception. Like, look, you can go from, if you look at all the different schools of nutrition, and so like I said, I take from all of them, right? Like I had a keto brownie the other night, right? And I was like,
Hmm.
that was cool. My husband hated it, but I was like, it's cool. Like I picked it up, I want to try it, and I ate it. Fine, right? So, but I'm not keto, and I actually am not somebody that is like, you have to be keto, or like you have to be a vegan, or you have to be vegetarian. Um,
Hmm.
but I think like the misconception is the you have to, right?
Mm.
And like fat is bad, fat is good, right? Carbs are bad, carbs are good. Be a vegan, be keto. Don't
Hmm.
eat this, don't eat that. And I think like if you just go back to like literally the roots of this earth, eat the things that come from the earth, and you will be okay. And
So
so that, go
like
ahead.
to avoid processed foods or too many chemicals in your diet or what what is your main approach there?
I think, look, it's kind of impossible to avoid all processed foods, right? Because
Hmm.
like everything is kind of processed.
That's true. Even milk, it like is somewhat
Milk,
processed or fruit juice or something like that. That's been processed
everything.
somewhat.
Like you put something in a bag, it's been processed. So like
Right.
I have my healthy bread, and it's really, I could even tell you what's in it. Like it's awesome. It's delicious, but it's processed,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Because they had to take the grain and then turn it into a flour, which is a process. So it's kind of like, I look at it different. I say like, be mindful of the junk you put in your body.
Hmm.
There's junk food, which is also processed. And then there's like
Hmm.
processed food. It's like, if I'm going to eat Mary's crackers, there's nothing wrong with Mary's crackers, but they're processed.
Hmm.
So is my beautiful bread. So is ground turkey is processed. Like that's the thing. Like there's so many things that are processed. So I think
Hmm.
that the word processed, I don't like that word. I like
Hmm.
I like going a little step further and being like, if it comes from the earth, then it's great, right? Then we look at, okay, what's the healthiest flour if we're making a bread? Or like, what's the healthiest, whether it's dairy or non-dairy milk, right? Like, what's the healthiest dairy milk? Okay, I don't personally, because I'm severely allergic to dairy, so like does not work. But like, my husband's not, and we have butter in our fridge, right? And so like
Yeah.
I find it very cute. So in the morning we have like tea. We both have tea. He doesn't do caffeine. I give him like this turmeric tea, and then I have green tea. And then we each have our breads. So he has like a really yummy, like 7 grain bread that has seeds on it, but it has gluten. Mine is gluten free. I toast him. He gets butter. I either get I either get one of a couple of things, right? I either get a vegan ricotta cheese, I'll get avocado, I'll get a vegan cream cheese. If I'm like, I just want olive oil and salt on my bread, I'll just like olive oil and salt it. And that's kind of like that morning, I call it just like a little morning snack, right? So, but
Hmm.
it's all processed, it's different, but nothing's
Yeah,
wrong with.
that's interesting. So your approach is try to give yourself as many options as possible and then try to go for the healthiest option.
Yes,
That's what it sounds like. Is that right?
go for the healthiest option.
Hmm.
You know, you
So,
can, no one's gonna, like my client, like I have learned that don't tell people like you can't eat this because they're gonna go eat it, like a 3-year-old,
right. Yeah.
right? And I'll say
Yep.
like you can eat whatever you want, go for it. How are you gonna feel after it? Go for it,
Hmm.
please eat the whole bag of cookies, and then let's talk about it.
Hmm. Oh, I had a
So
friend of mine after she had her last baby, she became allergic, like severely allergic to chocolate, which was very sad for her because she was a chocolate maker.
oh, wow.
So I know it was really sad because then she all of a sudden, because every year she would make fudge for everybody for Christmas, and
Yeah,
then one year she gave everybody jam, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess
what
she's just
happened?
branching out, and we realized, oh, she's allergic to chocolate now. But she was just giving herself other options. Obviously, she wanted to be of service to other people. I think though she was pretty sad afterwards. We talked with
I
her
would be
about it.
sad for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
that's like, it's like they say, like, you think you have a bad, talk to the next person,
right.
right?
So if somebody wants to uh, get started in maybe changing around their lifestyle, they know that they're maybe not the healthiest. Maybe they're a student or they're I don't know a mom and who doesn't cook very much, or maybe just gets a lot of TV dinners for kids. How would you advise people to start trying to be a little bit healthier with the way that they're approaching their food?
Make a plan.
Hmm.
You need to have a plan, right? Like I've been eating healthy for so many years because I had health issues, but I had to have a plan. Like, if you're going out, so for example, let's talk about like somebody who has, works in an office and works crazy hours, and they know that they have dinners out 3 nights a week, right?
Hmm.
Which is like a very typical, I mean, it's very typical.
Hmm.
So I would say, like, this is just an easy thing. Look at the restaurant you're going to before you get there and make a decision on what you're making. Have a plan. If you're going to have wine, don't have dessert. If you're going to have dessert, don't have wine. Right. So it's about a
Hmm.
plan. For a mom, it's so hard, right? Like, I was like, people who are moms or who say the father is in charge of the kids, there's a lot of invisible work that goes into being the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad. There's a lot that people, you just don't see it. And it's hard to get the time to make that plan. But I think it's like, start with one thing. So say the first thing is, um, breakfast. And it's so everyone's like, breakfast, gotta eat. Well, there's schools that thought intermittent fast or eat breakfast, right? Which way
Hmm.
do we go? So what is best for
Right.
you? Right.
Hmm.
With my female clients, I generally have them eat something in the morning.
Hmm.
And that's like such a deeper conversation for another time. But start with breakfast. And if you can get 1 out of 3 meals, if 1 out of 3 meals are healthy, amazing. You've just made a change, right? And just eat breakfast. So the first thing I actually do with clients, so when someone, I don't know these people, like I don't know you came to me, we did our health history. The first thing I do is I say, here, let's go through, like, what do you like to eat for breakfast? What do you eat for breakfast? And let's figure out what you feel you can make or pre-make or whatever. And let's come up with a couple of different breakfast options. I don't care what you do for lunch. I don't care what your snacks are or what your dinner is. We'll talk about that in a few weeks.
Hmm.
So what I do is I have them nail down breakfast. So like for the mom or the dad, okay, like instead of giving your kids a Pop-Tart, like if you don't have time, great piece of whole grain bread, almond butter, a low sugar jam, done. Or like a little sandwich, or you could put bananas in it, or you can, it's hard. I remember being a kid and eating like in the car, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
my mom would make us like little egg McMuffins. So we'd get
Hmm.
like a whole wheat, what are they on? English muffins, right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, we'd get like whole wheat English muffins, toast it. She'd fry an egg, put a little cheese. I'd get sick because nobody believed me that I was allergic, or you could put some cheese or vegan cheese or avocado, smash it together, wrap it in some foil and go out the door, right? You could do that. You could even make like a parfait. You can make like for your kids and for yourself, make like a bunch of like organic, use an organic dairy or a non-dairy, depending on what works for you, and put them in like little mason jars and make like, if you've got 2 kids, make 10 of those and then make a few for yourself. Right. And so that's what you guys eat for breakfast. And you can find good granolas or nuts, or you can make chia. Like there's things you can make. Chia pudding takes 2 seconds.
Chia
So
pudding is really good too.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can flavor it different, right? You could put cocoa powder and some honey or maple syrup, whatever you like, or stevia. You could do it with fresh berries. So there's options, that you can do with it, which you can make it with coconut milk. You can make it with any, almond milk, dairy milk, whatever. But I think like start with breakfast. And the other thing is if you eat a really good breakfast, you are more likely to not crash by lunchtime and pick something unhealthy, right? And I think it's like becoming a habit and creating new habits. Because when we create one healthy habit, it kind of spirals into like another healthy habit and then another healthy habit, so that's really what I do, is like, I'm all about baby steps and building blocks to create your plan.
And it also sounds like you want people to be really deliberate in their food choices as well, which is, I feel like, an issue with a lot of people. They just sort of eat what's around. Well, I guess in the break room they had, in our break room, for some reason, in our medical clinic, we just have candy. Like, I don't know how we have a drawer full of candy, but people give us stuff and they just dump it in there. So people just snack on candy all day long. And
Yeah.
it's just what's available. And that's not good.
Right. So my best friend is a doctor. Actually, my best friend and my other really good friend, they're both doctors. I have my other good friend, she's a nurse. Like I have a lot of really good friends in like the medical field, and they're busy. And like, I've watched you guys, I've gotten clients through med school, right? I know what you guys do. It's amazing. And you guys don't have, like, you don't have a life when you're going through your medical training. Like that life is this big, right? It's like, I watch my friends and my clients and I'm like, oh, bless you. I'm going to bed. I'm sorry you're on call all night long. Like you are so dedicated. So whatever. So I would say like meal prep, make chili. Like there's things that you can make, right? Like you can make a vegetarian chili with beans, or you could do a turkey or a bison or a beef chili or whatever. And you can eat that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're in med school. You don't have time to think about your food, right? You're not going to care that you ate the same dinner like 5 nights in a row. You're lucky you're eating something. So
I will eat the same thing every single day sometimes.
Yeah, because you have no time,
Right.
right? So it's like, and this goes for like even the mom or the dad or like the college student or people that don't have that much time, batch cook, and you can freeze things too. So that's another thing you can do. But like if you make like a double dinner, so whatever you're making for dinner, make an extra portion, take it the next day for lunch to work. And like being mindful.
So what do you think what are the most common excuses that you hear, when you give somebody some counsel? What is the excuse that you usually hear from people?
Oh, they don't have time. That's the big one, is time. And I'm like, okay, how many minutes a day are you on Instagram or Facebook? Multiply,
right.
like how many minutes, multiply how many times. Like we probably waste an hour of our time checking things, scrolling, whatever it
YouTube
is.
videos, all kinds of things, right?
What's the other, Reddit? Like, okay, fine. You know what?
Right.
go take a walk and like listen to a podcast, like, or like don't scroll on your Instagram and take a walk, but like, you know, like there's other things you can do with your time. You know, or like, I'm trying to think whatever, like, I don't know, it's the time thing. Affordability is a big one. Like I can't afford it. And I'm like, well, let's get creative. And also, who said you can't buy a bag of frozen vegetables or frozen fruit? And I think that frozen, right? Frozen vegetables, frozen fruit, frozen produce, not produce, proteins, all get a really bad rap. And there is nothing wrong with them. Beans, like beans and rice, really, like beans, rice, some frozen spinach or frozen kale, or like, you know, you can get like the green beans. I hate them, but you can get like green beans, carrots, and peas. Right? So gross. Like I hate green beans. It's like a thing. Everybody knows. And I also like tell people like, look, I'm a nutritionist, but there are two vegetables I don't like. It's okay. Okay. Anyways, frozen things, you can buy that. You can buy low sodium chicken. You don't have to make your own chicken broth. Like who said you have to make your own chicken broth? Go buy low sodium, you know, organic chicken broth. It's okay. You know, like, and I think that people are like, think it's all or nothing. Like I have to grow my vegetables in my garden, or like, I'm not healthy. Like, you know, people get so extreme. I think it's also making excuses. Like, but if I don't, then I'm like, just go to the grocery store, or like time, order it on, do you know Instacart? Do you use Instacart? I like
Instacart's great. Yeah.
Only do delivery. Okay. Like have your produce delivered.
Yeah.
Also buy your vegetables pre-chopped. I had a chef, like I was working at an event and I had a chef had bought pre-cut butternut squash. And I was like, seriously, you want to go cut? Like you can go make a face. I bought it pre-cut. Like you know, it's okay. No one's going to judge you because you bought pre-cut vegetables.
And you know what's interesting? Costco, if you go to Costco, they have a lot of meals there that are basically nice fresh meals, and everything's been cut and put inside a tinfoil, and you just take it home and put it in the oven. Yeah.
You know, they also have those big bags of like of cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, like the slaws. Like those are, I tend to make my own dressings because I don't use canola oil. And I don't use vegetable oil. And they usually have like a canola oil in them. So I just buy the bag if it's, you know, and just will make my own dressing, and then, you know, add some whatever protein I have in my house. Or I'll do like, you know, put half of an avocado on there. You know, there's ways to substitute, and like pre-washed vegetables are awesome.
Yeah. So what are some of the most common, like if you can give like 3 tips for somebody to just live a healthier lifestyle, what would those 3 tips be?
Plan your food. Right. There's a quote. What is it? It's failing to prepare. I can't remember. There's a great quote and I kind of want to look it up. Preparing.
Is it like when you plan to fail, you fail to plan? Oh, no. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Right. And it's true.
Yeah.
Like plan.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. It's true. Like I know, like I said, if you're going to a restaurant, check the menu before.
Right.
And decide like, you know, and everyone's so different, right? So like, for example, like if I have a professional athlete, or I have like somebody who's an endurance athlete, you know, I'm not going to say,
those are 2 totally different things. Yeah.
Right. But like, even like an endurance athlete versus a professional athlete, like if I have a cyclist who rides, you know, just like their regular ride is like a 50-mile ride in a day, and they do that a couple of days a week, like they're going to be able to eat a lot more, and they also need a lot more carbohydrate, and they also need protein. They just need more food. So I'm going to be like, you rode from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara. That's 75 miles. Please go have a bowl of pasta, please, you know, and have a salad, and like, you know, obviously other things as well. But if I have somebody who's needing to lose weight, and it's like they can't eat half of a portion of pasta, or like they're just not that person. I'm like, listen, let's just not even look at that, at the pasta and the pizza. Let's look at the entrees and look at the healthiest entree option for you. Or, you know, if you're, some people can't, like, or some people are say like, well, I can't finish an entree. I go, let's get 2 appetizers. So,
That's
you know,
actually
it's
a great
also
idea. Yeah.
portion control,
Hmm.
or they'll eat whatever it is. So everyone's different, like I keep saying. So plan, and prepare. And also getting outside is really important.
Hmm.
And
Do you mean like
yeah,
physical activity or just to go outside?
like go walk for 5 minutes,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
go walk, you know, or go, even and if you can't walk, like say you can't, like you physically cannot, like being outside for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, getting some vitamin D, really, really good for you. But I do think, like, in terms of getting outside, it's really being in nature.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
actually, I agree with that. That I feel like, especially during the pandemic, as people have been in their homes so much, a lot of things that I've seen, people have said that their eyesight has changed too, because when you go outside and you see different distances, your eyes will be able to accommodate. But when you're just sitting at home and like at the screen all of the
anytime,
time, and it's only your eyes actually, the muscles in your eyes get affected. So yeah,
I'm
going
wondering,
outside and just looking around is important.
yeah, you know, and it's like I always say 90% of your health is based in your nutrition.
Mm,
Exercise is the icing on the cake. The exercise, yeah, it's good for your heart and all these things for sure. But like
mhm,
when I have people come to, sometimes I have clients come to me and they're over, I was an over exercise. Like, well, I'll be frank. I used to be a total over exerciser, and you don't know what you don't know. And it
mhm,
was so bad for my hormones. Right. And
mm.
I think,
Yeah,
like, for women, different than men, but like some people over exercising, too much cortisol, too much stress, it can really affect you. I have clients that they exercise so much, but it makes them too hungry, and then they eat too much and they can't get the weight down. So it's
that
like,
happens.
it happens, right?
It
You're like, oh my
does.
God,
It
I ran
totally
10
does happen.
miles. Right? I ran 15 miles. Why won't the 10 pounds come off? I'm like, maybe you don't need to run 15 miles.
Right.
Like, how about let's tone it down a little bit, you know? And I think
Mhm.
that it's like finding that balance, but plan, prepare, get outside. Start there. And the
Plan,
planning,
prepare, and
preparing
get
goes
outside.
in. Yeah, planning and preparing gets into your food, it's your sleep, like that. I'm giving, it's broad, right? Like
Mhm,
you have, if it's a sleep thing, like, you know, having a little sleep ritual, that's part of like planning and preparing for bed, right?
mhm,
Planning and preparing your food, planning and preparing your exercise. So that's why I say
mhm.
plan, prepare, get outside.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to follow you or see your recipes or learn about what you do, how do people find you?
So I'm on Instagram, which is Wild Organic Wellness, and I post recipes and just, you know, a lot of recipes and food, and my dogs. And then and then my website is wildorganicwellness.com. And those are really and then my email, Lauren at wildorganicwellness.com. And actually, no, I'm kidding. My email is actually Lauren at haasholistic.com. So it's Lauren at haasholistic.com.
And I've gone to your website. You have a lot of really interesting recipes, and I don't know who your photographer is, but whoever your photographer is does a really good job on making
Thank
your
you.
food look super delicious looking. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
hard. I'll tell him you said that because it's hard to make food look good.
yeah, but
And
it looks great. The lighting, everything looks like shiny and stuff, and you can almost taste it through the
oh,
through
you.
the image. So
Thank
it looks
you.
really good. Yeah.
Thank you. I will let Robert know that that you said
It's
everything looked delicious. So thank you for that.
yeah. So anyways, Lauren, thank you for your time and your wisdom. And yeah, if anybody wants to know more, please follow her on Instagram or check out her website. There's a lot of great meals, and it is a large variety. So it's not just gearing towards one style of eating or another, but all things look great. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And if you want to know more about Sunrider, again, you can check us out at sunrider.com. And for our future Vital Signs podcast videos, you can follow us there on YouTube, on our Sunrider International YouTube channel, and on Facebook and Instagram as well. All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Okay.
You too.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. This is Dr. Ruben Chen, and I'll see you next time.